Hello and welcome back to my series going over the concept for my Marvel animated show. In this video I'm going to be detailing my version / interpretation of the hero Quasar. Right off the bat, I have to admit the reason why I made him Norwegian was because I was listening to Norwegian music during the time I came up with his concept, so there you go. I was just browsing through Quasar's wiki and his name is Wendell Vaughn, Earth 616, and he was actually included in quite a lot of the big stories in Marvel, like Infinity War, Secret Invasion, but like I said, almost no one talks about him, no one mentions him. However, people still talk about Nova because my theory is that he's too similar to Nova. Like, his power is just like energy blast. That's why I wanted to like give him a second chance at being his own unique hero rather than just being forgotten. Lars is definitely the comic relief of the group. He's the one that will make the audience laugh. He's the one telling weird and funny and smart witty jokes, and he also has a funny accent. Norwegians have the funniest accents. With how he got his powers, I imagine that Avril Kincaid, who was the most recent Quasar, she received a message from the universe telling her that her time as Quasar was up and that she needs to hand it over to the next person in line to become the next Quasar. The universe essentially told her to bury it under the Northern Lights. Later on, a couple years later maybe, Lars's family went on a holiday to go see the Northern Lights, and Lars received a message from the universe to go to this area where he dug up the quantum bands, I think they're called, and he became the next Quasar. However, he keeps his double life as a hero secret. So Quasar was only operating in Norway up until eventually he gets recruited by S.H.I.E.L.D. and then he goes to the US to work with S.H.I.E.L.D. and study at Stark University. So before then, he would keep his life as the hero Quasar a secret. I imagine he has a bit of a strained relationship with his dad, and that his dad finds him to be very disappointing because Lars has two older sisters who are very successful, and meanwhile, of course, Lars, he wants to get into music, and as we all know, characters who want to get into music are always looked down upon by their parents. So they're like, get over it, do a real subject, why don't you get a real job, stop with this music thing. But obviously Lars, he loves his music, he's going to pursue his passions no matter what his father says, so that's like where their relationship is strained. However, his father loves Quasar. He's like, yes, a Norwegian superhero, that's amazing, finally we have something. He has absolutely no idea that the superhero that he loves is his son that he hates, so it's just a little bit of like irony. As I mentioned in the previous video, the reason why I think Quasar isn't nearly as well known as Nova is because he was too similar to Nova, and Nova is the more popular character. Therefore, I'm making Quasar be more unique. So a way to make him more unique is to give him powers that are based around light. So to explain his powers, I wrote, his abilities are, Lars has to absorb light from his surroundings so he can charge up his energy. Like Starlight from The Boys, he has to absorb photons and light around him to charge up his energy, so he can't use his powers in the dark. So once he collects enough energy, he can create physical weapons and objects out of light, and they're very hard, but they will eventually smash and shatter, and we'll have to make some more. He can also fly, and he can shoot super hot energy blasts from his hand. So he's like just a light themed superhero basically. But I think with the hard light and that he can create objects almost like Green Lantern, that separates him from Nova a bit. It's a bit similar to Starcatcher's power in that she can make star-shaped shields. However, power is reduced to just being in the form of stars. He can make anything he wants, and he can't make them as big as she can. He can make just like the weapons he can hold, really. He can't make like a whole bridge or anything like that. I forgot to mention, but one of Lars's powers that he gains from the quantum bands is being able to speak to the universe. So one of Quasar's powers is quantum energy directly from the universe, which allows him to have foresight, which plays a big part in this story. To add some irony, his abilities revolve around light. However, he has terrible nyctophobia, which basically means he is terrified of the dark. And the reason is, so he has a bit of a traumatic backstory, and that there was a home invasion in which unfortunately his mother was killed. It was pitch black, so I think the people who broke into the house, they cut the lights so they couldn't turn on the lights. It was absolutely pitch black, you couldn't see anything. And then when their dad, or whenever the police eventually turned the lights on or like shone the flashlight, all he saw was like his mother's corpse. And since then he has been absolutely terrified of the dark. He has to sleep with a nightlight on. Whenever he's walking around the house, he has to turn the light on. He's also very goofy. He has very weird interests and he likes to eat very weird things. He absolutely loves strawberries. Whenever he's eating food, you can bet he has strawberries. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, he will eat it with strawberries. Pancakes with strawberries, chicken sandwich with strawberries, steak with strawberries, anything, give him a strawberry and he'll be happy. With Sam, his character arc revolved around becoming a good leader. With Lars, his character arc revolves around accepting help from his team members and not always trying to do things by himself. So when he was back in Norway, he was fighting like villains no one had heard of, because the only villains we know of are the villains in the US, because that's where S.H.I.E.L.D. is. So in this universe, there are like heroes in other countries, but obviously we wouldn't know about them because all we care about is America. He is used to just fighting by himself and being a very solo hero. So his character arc would revolve around him accepting help from his new teammates. Like, it would start off with him being almost afraid to ask for help because he doesn't want to seem like he's not independent. He doesn't want to come across as weak. He wants to come across as capable. When in reality, you come across as more capable and more strong when you know how to ask for help. He's studying the music course at Stark University. He plays the cello. I don't know what instrument that is. I think it's a cello. Bass. One of them. He also plays drums. He plays keyboard. He probably uses FL Studio. The whole 9 yards. He's very musically gifted. He listens to all kinds of music. I don't know what his favorite kind of music would be. Probably something really weird. So yeah, that's about it for Lars. Enjoy my speed paint of me designing his new Quasar outfit, and I hope you enjoy.
Could swear it's been 700 degrees in here since you came in. I could swear that this room has been running out of air, and now it's starting to spin. You make me feel kind of bad, kind of good, kind of everything, yet it doesn't feel like it should. You make me feel kind of wrong, kind of right, kind of anything, and I would change it if I could.
Sometimes when I'm drawing a character, I will just edit the same body until I'm satisfied. Sometimes I will duplicate their body and do a whole bunch of designs, but I didn't think it was necessary this time.
I could swear that I'm fading, I think I'm losing my sight, I swear I'm hitting the floor. I could swear that my stomach just sunk a meter, I'll be dead if I take any more. You make me feel kind of bad, kind of good, kind of everything, yet it doesn't.
I thought about making Quasar's colour scheme just black, white and blue to make him different from Nova, because if you notice, Quasar's original design has pretty much the same colour scheme as Nova's, but I decided to keep it the same but just change how much each colour appears. I thought about having the inside of his little scarf thing be space, just to keep it the same, but I thought it would be unique if the inside of his scarf was just pure light, as he's a light themed hero. And also I didn't want to give him a full cape because I think full capes look a bit goofy, and when I see a full cape I think of Superman and very like classic heroes, but my version of Quasar is a very modern hero inspired by like the very modern times, so I thought a whole cape wouldn't match him too well.
To settle as I look toward the sea, dust in your eyes like the water, As the tide it consumes me. You would never save me if my walls came down. Head is underwater, you would let me drown. Watching as I suffocate. Darling, pull the trigger, honey, steal my crown. Choke me till I black out, put your hands around. Cut out my heart, I'm guilty. She said, worship me, I control the air you breathe. Worship me, my forgiveness set you free. Worship me, I control the air you breathe. Worship me, my forgiveness sets you free. Throwing up your hands in worship. Cast your sins away to him.
So yeah, that's it for Quasar. The next character I'm going to be talking about is Sign, so stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed.